I'm standing in front of Boston Symphony Hall, which is right behind me. As you can see, it's got the Boston Pops banners and the playbill is in front. The front of the hall, I would run and show you what that looks like. However, I'd have to cross the street and it is beautiful. Let me put it to you that way. I just attended a concert at New England Conservatory at Williams Hall. I have been going to their offerings as often as I can. It is a school of about 800 students and they study all kinds of instruments, and they also have an orchestra. So from time to time they'll have recitals with the orchestra or single recitals or all variations, some very formal, some informal. Now, I went to one last week. I didn't know what I was showing up to. Was pleasantly surprised. There was what was called the Global Music Workshop. Roughly 50 students from, goodness, maybe 7, 8 countries, regions, from the Americas, North, South America, Canada, Europe, Asia, India, Israel, sort of the Persian countries, Russia, and with their instruments. So, of course, they had the classical instruments such as the piano, cello, flute, bass, violin, viola, and then there were some other instruments called, there is I believe it's like a Chinese or an Asian guitar called the pipa, which you play holding the neck standing straight up. There's another instrument that looks like a harp that you lay on your lap. I don't know what it was called. I thought someone said that it was the chen, but I think it's called something else. The frets, the strings, and they may be called something else, are there were three of those of different sizes. One had one big long fret that stood up fairly high at an angle about a third of the way up the instrument, and then of course the strings are overlaid over that, and then the musician plays by plucking upwards, pulling up, and it has sort of a harp sound, but you would definitely recognize the sound if you heard it. And there were several different styles. There was one that had this one big long fret, and one that had a fret for either every string or every few strings, and there were a few frets all the way down at an angle on this other kind of this chen, I think is what it's called. Then they had what's called the Urdu, which has typically a bamboo neck and two, I forget what they're called, the little spindles that tighten the strings. For some reason that's escaping me at the moment. And then it's got the music box at the end, and it has only one string. I believe it only has one string. Maybe it has two. And that you would definitely recognize the sound. It is an Asian instrument. Then there is I think it was called the oud. I think it was from Israel, the Middle East, I'm not sure. It looked to be a kind of flute. I didn't write all of these down. I just, was trying to remember them. There's so many others that then there was the large guitar that you see sometimes people from Italy or in the Mediterranean countries like Greece or possibly even Russia, and it looks like a guitar, and it's sort of pear-shaped, but it doesn't have the curve. It just kind of goes out, and it's about, the body of it must be about 3 feet long and maybe 2 feet wide, and then it's got a short neck. I don't know how many strings it has on it. You definitely recognize that. Now, there were 8 instructors, and each of those instructors had 2, maybe 3 songs, and they would have these ensembles that were mixture of all of the 40, 50 musicians that were there. I didn't get to stay all the way till the end because I had another commitment. But anyway, what I found so amazing was that they had only been together 1 week. They were not reading notes. They had memorized everything from the week that they had spent together. And there were people, I don't know if there were any teenagers, but there were definitely people from their 20s. And I would say that there was a woman in her 70s who played the Urdu. And let me tell you something, she got up and danced a jig after a while with so much energy you would have thought that she was in her teens or her 20s very easily. Let's see. The costuming was great. So people wore, original costumes from their countries, and there was sort of it was all fusion music. So a song might start out, let's say, with an Asian sort of folk flair, and it might they might speed up the tempo, and it would sound kind of like a rock and roll jazzy song. And there was one man who had Russian Ukrainian family, and so he had incorporated taken this folk song, and it was he played the accordion. It was very jazzy, upbeat, and then there were some slow movements. And what was really neat is all of the musicians got up and did sort of a Jewish dance on stage, and everybody was welcome to do it. I almost did, but I thought, well, I'm just going to watch because it's more fun to watch them. Then, so any kind of music that you can think of, they managed to pull that off. And each piece of music had 3 or 4 different genres and tempos. It was just a delight for the senses. Okay, so I have walked from tonight's performance was in Williams Hall. I've typically gone to Jordan Hall, which is it's beautiful, ornate, gilded, and the staging is the seats along the side on the floor seating are at about a 45-degree angle. It's pretty steep. And then they kind of, it's a little less sloped as you go towards the back of the auditorium. And then on the balcony, it's the same way. It's very steep along the sides, and then it kind of graduates around the back. And the balcony is curved. And it's got this beautiful, like I said, it's gold everywhere. There are no curtains, and the frame of the stage it's very, very big, and it's got green on the background and then gold embossed or raised figures. There are cherubs at the top, and then there is one of the biggest pipe organs you'll see in the world on the stage at Jordan Hall. And then it's got an inlaid parquet floor. I'm trying to think what else, but anyway, it's pretty. I just stood there with my mouth open, like a scene in Queen Latifah's Last Holiday when she had gone to Kolilavari, and she's standing in the hotel looking up at the cherubs and saying, she asked the hotel woman, doesn't that ever want to make you cry? So then tonight, I went and heard a young pianist. His name is Lo. Real quickly, what I've learned of him is he did study at Juilliard, and he teaches at the New England Conservatory, and he did these amazing pieces, some classical, some more modern, upbeat, some that were just, it had sort of a, how do you say it, discord, and some that were more melodious, very upbeat, some very silent. The time I went to go click my pen, I had to write something down. He decided to play a very soft piece, and the acoustics are so fine in there. I thought, oh, I don't even want to click my pen. Well, sure enough, I click quietly, success. And then when I went to unclick it, there was this little click, You could hear it all over the auditorium. Nobody looked. I'm sure that they were too entranced. But anyway, it was such an amazing experience, and I got to meet Lo afterwards. And so the woman who took our pictures, he was wanting to ask me where I was. It was really cute. He asked me where I was from and what brought me to Boston. And anyway, it was really cute. So I'll show you the pictures that we took, and I'll try to show you the stop motion. So he's leaning over asking me questions, and the woman who's taking the picture is shorter than me, so it's kind of at this angle. I look kind of interesting instead of more, it was funny. I thought, okay, I look a little funny, but it's okay. He was just adorable in the pictures, and so it's worth me showing you the pictures. And if I can upload the stop motion, you'll see where he's talking to me, and I'm answering back, and you can see me. And then at the next frame, he's asking me a picture, and the next frame, I'm answering. And then, of course, the very last picture, the final moment of the frame, my eyes are just, I don't know if they're opening or closing. I know when John and I first met, and he'd take pictures, his eyes were always like this. So he had to train himself to keep his eyes open whenever they'd say 1, 2, 3, and he'd be, looking right into the camera. But anyway, she didn't say 1, 2, 3. Anyway, he was a very nice young man. Let me show you where I am right now. This is the Church of Christ Scientist Mother Church, which is a phenomenal structure. It is in the classic, I don't know if that would be called Greek Revival or sort of a Greek and Roman, I don't know. There's a whole lot of architectural features going on there. This is the reflecting pond, and the water is literally, it looks like it's floating. And so when you see people, they've got walkways that are right at the same level as the water. So when you see people, it looks like they're walking on water, or you see people walking on the other side, it looks like they're walking on water. It's pretty fun. A lot of people sit around here and take in the sights. I don't know if they meditate or pray, have lunch, enjoy time with their friends. And behind me, you can see this is the Prudential Center. This building is new. I'm still getting to know some of the buildings. You see this, I don't know which direction I'm pointing. Anyway, that one, I don't know what that is. This is a part of the Church of Christ Scientist complex, but I'm not sure what that is. And then there's a delightful row of trees. So let's go ahead and walk up Huntington Ave a little bit more. Now, if you go in the other direction, that's where you hit the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, where I was recently when I made a couple of videos. And let's see, I don't believe that I have anything else, so thank you very much for joining me on Coffee and Good Stuff. And let's put a comma here.